Hi, my name is Dylan. I'm joined with Daniel, and we will be presenting on the Eschede railway accident. So in 1998, there's a train crash in Germany and the municipality of Eschede. The main consequences were 100 people dead and an additional 100 plus injured. There are also some engineering consequences that we will go into later. But the failure was discovered in one single wheel. It had broken off and embedded into the train floor. The passengers of the car that had the wheel embed into discovered it. They could see it poking up through the floor. They alerted the train staff, but ultimately it was decided to keep on moving. But about 2 kilometers later, the embedded wheel caused the train to crash when it hooked onto one of the switches in the tracks. And what you see here is what occurred afterwards. So overall, 13 engineers from 5 different countries performed an official investigation of the failure. It was determined that the most likely cause of failure was the design. It was in a pilot. It was really a piloted design on trains in which a rubber cushioning was used around the wheel. As we know, this is very popular in cars nowadays. However, trains experience much greater loading as well as much faster speeds. And so, even though the rubber cushioning helped to decrease the vibrations, which is exactly what it was put on the car or on the train to do, it significantly weakened the metal. Excuse me. The rubber was believed to have caused a deformation where, as the wheels spun, they began to take on a more ovular or elliptical shape instead of being spherical, or excuse me, circular. And as we have learned, this causes a stress concentration factor at multiple points on the wheel, which causes much greater fatigue. And additionally, there wasn't much testing done for the use of this design on trains. Certainly not enough testing to fully determine that it would be safe on trains rather than just on cars. And it was found that the crack actually propagated through about 80% of the cross section of the wheel before failing. So obviously, with how many wheels trains have, this wheel is not supporting too much of the load on the train, allowing the crack to propagate further without failure. But nonetheless, it did propagate through much of the wheel once it finally broke.
So the root cause of this failure was from rim fatigue and stress from the wheel rims, flattening the circular wheel into more of an oval shape, as Dylan mentioned. Also, there were unseen cracks within the wheel rims that could have been found with proper inspection, but they propagated throughout the wheel up to 80%, as Dylan said, and this propagation was further encouraged by the thinning rim, which exaggerated forces causing the micro fine cracks to grow larger. Also, flat spots and ridges also increase dynamic forces and accelerated wear. In addition to this root cause of failure, there was also a lack of maintenance and care, and people could actually visibly see that the wheels were smaller in diameter, and experts had previously warned that wheels could not be operated at diameters below 88 centimeters, and this could have been avoided if the wheels were replaced sooner, but they were not, and the wheel ultimately failed at 86.2 centimeters.
So the main change, or the only change made because of this failure, was that the design was completely discontinued in German trains. So nothing was really fixed in the design. They just kind of came to the conclusion that the rubber cushioning is not suitable for the loading and the speeds at which train wheels rotate. Every single train across Germany with this piloted design was briefly taken from use and put on hold while every single wheel was replaced. These wheels were examined, and it was actually found that many of them exhibited cracks, some of them pretty long. However, none of them were believed eventually to the catastrophic failure that we see occur in Eschede. Um, Nonetheless, it is still concerning that there was a significant number of these wheels that did exhibit these cracks, and potentially if this did go unnoticed for a longer period of time, we could have seen many more failures occur.
So, in order to make a wheel that has the least chance of crack formation, we need to have a strong, consistent material instead of what SCAD used, which was a wheel and then a rubber tire surrounding it. And this consistent material should eliminate any discontinuity between material to material, so there aren't any extra stress from the discontinuities. Also, if we have a stronger material on the perimeters of the wheel instead of the rubber tire, there should be less give, and they should resist deformation so we don't have that oval shape. And ultimately, this would lead to less stress concentrations because circles are better than ovals for this. And that's it. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we use NASA as our source.